this week we're going to talk about poly experiences and poly relationships. So you guys are in an open poly relationship. What's your dynamic?
Okay, well, I mean, first thing, I don't have a whole lot of poly experiences. I'm just saying right now. I have like a lot of perspective on it being with somebody who is poly now. But my whole thing about it is, I mean, our dynamic is like a women thing, but still very much a family.
So you're
I would say that we have like a semi-open relationship. Like it's not. Some people have like an open relationship where it's kind of like relationship anarchy. It's kind of a free for all. I do what I want. I do what I feel. That's not what we're doing here.
Okay. She said there's a conversation going on here. Okay.
We communicate a lot.
Well, you need to, like, especially the more people that's involved.
Yeah. I mean, my whole thing about it is like, I tend to avoid the label of it typically because I'm like, it's not a poly relationship I'm going for. It's a relationship that works
for us.
And does what it's supposed to do. You know what I mean? And I mean, I guess if you want to label it with any of those labels and sub labels, then I mean, it's whatever. But I'm like,
it's not really one for labels.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Okay. I feel that. I definitely
poly needs
understand that.
multiple.
Multiple loves, yeah.
So. Right. So I mean, that's about as far as it goes for me. You know what I mean?
Okay. So I'm me. So I gotta get down into it. Watching each other have sex with other partners. Have we done that? How do we feel about
Have not done that.
Haven't done it yet?
Have not done it yet.
Okay, well, you said you're not experienced, so I understand that. Have you ever watched a partner have sex with someone else?
Yes.
How was that?
So a lot of stories to tell.
Empowering. No, it was. I'm not gonna say that I didn't have insecurities because I definitely did. Insecurities I thought I didn't even have started to come up. I was like, no.
Or the confusion of some feelings.
I was like, wait, how do I feel? Do I like this? Is this turning me on? Am I mad that I'm being turned on by it? Like, am I mad that I'm getting so turned on and wondering, like, is this person as turned on as I am? Or, about this other person.
I get what you mean.
Or
I enjoy this, but there's something that I'm not liking and I can't put my finger on it. So it makes it uncomfortable for some reason, or with the other female.
For me, my thing is I usually know how I feel. But I don't always know in the moment how to articulate it. See, when we're not doing something sexual, I can talk very clearly, about sex. I can say this is how I feel about what happened or what's happening in the bedroom or whatever. But in the moment, I want it to be good. I don't want to mess it up.
Let's just keep the vibes.
Especially if it was just me and my partner, then it's like we're more comfortable communicating with each other. But then this other person, I'm not quite sure how to communicate with you without turning you off, killing the mood, But to answer the question about what's it like to like watch a partner, it really was like this is something that we're doing together. It's not like oh this my partner is having sex with another person. We're all having sex.
I mean that's that's the way I think about it too. Like I said, I haven't done it, but obviously we talk about it a lot. I run it through my head a lot to see how I feel, but obviously that wouldn't measure up to actually seeing it and actually feeling it. But I mean, I'm pretty mature. I'm bothered by a lot of stuff, so seeing this shit, I'll probably be like, I don't know what problems I would have with it. Knowing that going into it, we were on equal, terms about shit, we were on the same page about shit. But if it was like some ulterior motive, like behind my back, they was already talking about smashing some shit. This is they wouldn't make it happen. So that's a little bit different.
The security that you have with her in your relationship is why you think you would be less bothered about anything that happened sexually.
Because we talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
And to the point where I was like I said, it's not that I ever chose to be monogamous. That's just social impact. You know what I mean? There's not the polygamous community is not large enough to have an impression on people from like your age. You kind of told you just be with one person,
It just recently became popular.
Exactly. So it's not to say that I was ever close-minded about it, But for one, you gotta, you know, I trust this person. You know what I mean? It's not too many. I don't trust people in general, which is, I mean, at this point, while we kind of had some trouble along the way of even making this shit happen, because I'm like, my qualifications and criteria is like there with it, because I'm not as familiar with the shit that she is, but at the same time, I wouldn't say she was familiar with doing that successfully.
That's right.
So
That's a
I can't go off of her experience and knowledge of, you know, what that was because of the result that came out of it. You know what I mean?
I can tell you what not to do.
Right.
And I can theorize what might work more effectively now. And that's why we do a lot of talking about it, you know. Because,
do you feel like you could see a lot more red flags
oh, absolutely.
that you would be able to notice because you're like,
well,
And I mean, I'm not necessarily going into the mindset of it as poly equals threesomes, foursomes, orgies and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, to me, a relationship is, you know, anything like the system. You know what I mean? You got. It has to function. It has to make a desirable outcome. You know what I mean? So if it ain't that, then it's like it don't matter if you were one person, two people, three people, four people. You know? I mean, that's just the way I see it. But again, inexperience with this.
Yeah, I feel like poly is not very much different from monogamy. There's just more people. It's the same like core principles like respect, loyalty, communication, teamwork. That, I mean, it's just more people that you're working with, more people that you're getting to know intimately.
I feel like it forces people to expose a lot more things that you're able to hide in a monogamous relationship, or that you're able to somewhat get around, if that makes sense. Like, if your partner isn't doing something that you may not necessarily voice that you like, you don't say anything about it. You can take it if you're in a monogamous relationship because that's what you guys are used to. But then if a new partner gets at it, and all of a sudden they're getting that automatically it's into a why and argument. So like little triggers that may have not ever happened in a monogamous relationship or never were forced to be brought to light. I feel like when you add more people, you have to talk about it. You have to be expressive about it.
I mean, like this person, like another woman, for example, might be able to see shit from a different angle than she can. If we were just together, she might notice some shit that I have going on that she might not have noticed beforehand, and you know that shit can go like any which way. Like another, like a woman to woman, they have a closer bond. You know, just being women. You know what I mean? So y'all communication with each other would be a lot different than non-diversity. So I mean, it's like not so many things that I can really talk a lot in depth with her about, like another one could. So I mean, there are some things that we don't necessarily hide from each other or like buried, but we gotta figure out how to do it, like how to communicate with each other on certain things.
Yeah, because it's kind of like male and female. We speak the same language but different dialects. You know, and so there's a way that a woman might communicate something, and a man might be saying the same thing but in a man way. And so now that, you know, having another woman around is like there's a different kind of connection that a woman and a woman would have versus what a man and a woman would have, or versus what we would all have as a family.
So in the sexual aspect of it, because one of the things that I honestly hate in my exploration of poly is that I feel like, no offense, because we're doing it now, but we all know, like, yes, you want financial security, yes, you want the family and everybody to bond and stuff, but when it gets down to having sex, everybody reverts back to those conversations, and I'm like, let's be real. When a girl can be about all the shits and she can be great and everything, and then once it's time to have sex, oh, so you don't eat pussy? Like, you said you was with it. Oh, I said that I was gonna try it, but I wasn't really sure.
That's the shit.
Those are the situations I want to talk about.
That's what she be worried about.
Yes, like, bitch, what do you mean? Like, you just, what was this whole, like, what did you think was gonna happen once we got to this point? Because if the settings don't work,
that shit can't work. Like like even if all that other shit is together, like honestly, if that don't work, then
that's where all the insecurities and stuff start to come out at. So how do we deal with those? So you said you're not experienced. So with you, how do you feel about those situations when everything is right and then you get in the bedroom and then the switch happens? Yeah, because he's gonna be in these situations.
Let me tell you.
He's like, so I know how to respond as well.
It might take me a little while, but I'm gonna cut them the fuck off. That's what I'm.
Oh, it's gonna take you some time.
Like, yeah.
Sweetie, you gotta leave right now.
Let me tell you.
Thank you.
Listen,
Fucked up my whole nut. You gotta go.
Listen.
You gotta go while she's still waiting so I can get some
Come on
tonight.
now.
Yes.
So in the past, I gave women a lot more wiggle room because I said, well, maybe you're inexperienced with women. This is new to you. And then eventually I decided, you know what? If it's new to you, then just experiment with somebody else. I don't want to be anybody's experiment. I want you to know that you want me. You know, like I've had situations where there was so many questions. Like girls will say, "Oh, well, I think you're so beautiful, and I'm so in love with you. I think you're so sexy. Why don't you eat my pussy?" I eat your pussy every chance I get. We in public and I'm up your skirt because I can't stay away from it. You're irresistible to me. But you have never touched me. Had threesomes with guys, you know. You'll do things with them. Come on, I don't see the love in that.
Yeah, I wouldn't rock with that either.
So
I don't see the attraction.
Even being a guy, I'm like.
And I allowed in the past. I allowed different women to buy their time with me by saying, "Well, this is new to me. I've never loved a woman." You know, maybe when I was younger, that was flattering because it was kind of new to me too. But as I got older, I was like, well, that's not what I want. So now, after having those experiences, like I said before, a lot of my past experiences taught me what I didn't want, so that I knew for sure this is what I want, this is what I require, these are my standards. And also being with him, it's just like, listen, you see it is what it is, cut that shit off. You communicated, you tried, it wasn't what you wanted, cut that shit off. It's not what you need, cut that shit off.
What type of females do you like? Do you lean more towards feminine females or more masculine females or more androgynous?
I like girls.
She like girls.
Oh,
It'll come from any side of the spectrum.
Oh,
I swear to
my
God.
See, I don't like that, but then my line gets drawn, and it's weird because I love transgender people, but it gets drawn at females who think that they're guys, but they're not transitioning, I guess.
Okay.
You mean
Like
studs who are
Overly aggressive studs, but they're like, I'm not transitioning to be a man, but I'm gonna act like that's where my line gets drawn. Because then I'm like, if that's the case, then I'll go get a guy. If you're a stud and you're a touch me not, that's where my line gets drawn.
As far as sexual attraction, I like it all. But as far as relationship attraction, it's different. I've matured some. my taste has changed.
Okay.
Most definitely. No, but the way
my taste is a little refined now.
being with her, I mean, like, me personally, like, her taste, like, wide taste in women has, I won't say unfortunately, but one of the adverse effects was it got me looking at all the different possibilities, like, okay, I see what you can see in that, you know what I mean? And it's like, it ain't that I personally got an attraction to, but it's like, you know, we just that, like.
She sees the beauty in all people.
Yeah, right. And that's, you know, that's something that I advocate too, but I didn't think about it in that type of sense where she's like, you know, it could be something about them, you know what I mean? I'm like, that's what's up.
Yeah, it could be just something. It could be their energy and
The way they carry themselves.
That makes me attracted to them.
Yeah.
The way they wear their skin, the way they wear their space.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked you what type of woman you're attracted to because you said that sometimes they were very like, oh, I'm in love with you, I'm this, I'm that, but they don't want to do anything. In my experience, that's been more of like femme females, and they kind of wear another femme female as a cute accessory.
Girl,
like,
yeah.
I have a girlfriend. Look how cute
Oh
she
my
is.
god, we were just talking about that. We were just talking about that.
Like, I don't do anything with her. But yeah, we do say
This is my girlfriend. This is my girlfriend. This is my girl.
It sounds
Don't call
nice.
me your
like,
girlfriend.
we can kiss and it looks cute, but bitch,
Yeah.
like you said,
Yeah. Yes.
put your head in my lap. Like,
Seriously.
then you can
And
do
even
that.
more than that, talk to me about intimate things. Talk to me about your fears, your dreams, your goals. No, you know,
Treat me
talk
like
to
a
me
partner,
Yes.
and not a. Because like you said, they would do stuff with guys.
Yes.
So I'm like,
and that's not just sexually things that they would do with guys. The same things that I'm saying.
yeah, like
they
it's a
feel
different
more
level of
comfortable.
intimacy.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm kind of biased in a sense because I know what you mean. Like, I feel like guys give a different type of energy. So for me, I get the more protection feeling from a guy.
Mm-hmm.
From a woman, I get more of the best friend, companionship, understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Except with me, I'm extremely protective, and I think that sometimes, I don't know, that might push my ladies away because they be like, "You're doing too much. You're not a nigga," and I'm like, I gotta protect you. I gotta protect you.
That sounds so sweet, but then I'm like, you got a fatty and nice titties. Like, we both need to get a nigga in front of us for, like, we both need to protect. Like, we can protect ourselves, but if there's some testosterone we can put in front of that.
I mean, obviously, I have a man. I'm very happy to have him.
Yeah.
You know,
So like that investing the security, that kind of like, oh, this person is gonna protect me. I couldn't do that with a woman. So is that where your disconnect came from, or was it more of the trophy? I have a sexy girlfriend kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that my experiences have had different layers of issues. You know, a lot of times, unfortunately, they and we didn't know ourselves. We didn't know ourselves well enough, you know, and so we kind of learned things about ourselves as they were relevant to the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you doing this? Why are you acting this way? How do you feel about this? And then you actually have to look at yourself and say, dang, I never asked myself that question, so I don't actually know right now. I'll get back to you. You know, but I've had experiences where it was just like, a lot of times there was a lack of communication on an intimate level. It was like this superficial thing. It was like we're not even really genuinely friends because we're having sex, we're kissing, we're holding hands in public, stuff like this. But you're afraid for me to actually see you.
Mm-hmm.
You're afraid for me to actually see you, and guess what? Because you're not being vulnerable and you're guarded, I'm saying, you know what? Maybe I can't quite be vulnerable either. And so now we have a superficial relationship, and we're kind of looking at each other like, why are we not doing what we thought we was doing here? You know.
So what makes you want to keep trying?
I love women. And I love the family dynamic that's possible. I feel like there is a strong advantage to having a village, to having a network. Obviously, we're already a team. We've learned to work well as a team, and every day we're learning better ways to make the team work, to make the engine run, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then as we have more partners, then we have, you know, more people to add to the functionality. We have more people to add to the love, the teamwork, the village, and then eventually when we do have children, or, you know, if we were to welcome a woman who has a child, then, they have more support for raising children as well.
So how would you, do you guys feel like you run on or you would run, because you said you haven't gotten to it yet, like a primary partner status? Do you already have like a set criteria for what anybody that comes into the relationship has to be or have or do?
Me personally, and it's something that we talked about, I don't want nobody that is struggling and looking for somebody to throw the light bulb, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just like that.
But there's a lot of ways somebody could be looking for a light bulb.
Exactly. I ain't talking about this
I
financially.
I'm feeling though, like I ain't trying to fix your life, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not Captain. He said that before.
I
I'm
was
not
gonna
Captain.
say
Said go home.
Like that's my main thing. Like I want not to say that like you gotta have a house, job, and car. I'm more so like about the mentality. If you got a mentality that allows you to manifest, it don't matter what you have at that present moment. You know what I mean? Because we rocking together to make that happen anyway. So it's like I don't know. I'm not generally open with people. You know what I mean? Open to people because I'm already looking at them before we even. Get to a close enough plan. It's not that I'm like judging people or like having like predeterminations about people.
You're more of an introvert.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. So how would that work bringing someone in?
It's been hard.
Yes.
I mean,
because I
He's
can see
very, very selective. He's very, very selective.
Because I can see him on work like, don't even look at her.
we'll look at a little something together.
We look.
No, but I mean, like he
But it's
see
like-
you like, nah,
it's
she
like-
ain't the one.
No,
Just
we just yeah, for real. She yeah. But we just came back out here not too long ago, and I made a promise because she was out. We were before. She was the one that was kind of being more active in the talking to people, trying to get to know people and shit like that. I mean, we weren't going to come back out here. We were going to go somewhere else. So we were looking out there, but then I wasn't very active. So even when she would find somebody that was like, we talked, we chatted about it. She know what we looking for. She was looking for this, that, and the third. And when it would come time for me to communicate, it was lacking there. So I was like, all right, when we touch down, I'll be more active in it. So
But he's not much of like a texter or.
Yeah, I
I found people who were interested on like dating apps. So that's online. And yes, we can video chat and stuff like that before we meet. But he's like, I'd rather just meet them in person. I'd rather just see them face to face and sense their energy.
Which is understandable, but you gotta give.
And I'm like,
some
please
type
like
of-
start a conversation, like
Yeah,
we have a little brief text conversation and
That's
then
a-
invite them.
that's from
Even if it's just you talk to my girl, she told you I don't talk to people like that. I'll see you in person.
Seriously,
You gotta say
yeah.
something.
I mean, and also please throw a compliment in there, like, I think you're beautiful. Like, come on, please, because I can't have them thinking that I'm the only one interested.
But it don't that whole thing with me
She's
like
carrying the relationship.
right, that whole thing don't come from me personally like directly towards like doing that. My openness to people, or rather like my legacy to be open to people, comes from some shit about a different story. You know what I mean?
Past experiences.
Yeah. Like I'm like stone. You know what I mean?
So how you gonna? Now I'm curious to how you would act in a threesome.
Oh,
Because
trust
you
me.
sound
Listen.
He's acting extra. I'm just gonna sit here and wait till they
He
tell
gonna
me.
make mama proud.
Yeah.
I'm bragging on myself. You know what I'm saying?
That's what she's there for. But you act like it would be not hard, but you seem like a very devoted dude. You sound like very much an introvert, and I noticed there's always one partner that seems to bring it out of the other. So it's always one wild partner, one quiet partner. She seems like more of the wild partner, and you're more of the quiet one.
Yeah.
It's gonna get wild.
It's always something that brings together now. It's the reason why they're together.
Trust me, that shit is like a light switch for me.
So how does that work with the separation? So you're cool with sexual interaction, but more introverted when it comes to an emotional connection with a person?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way to put it.
Okay, so how do you guys plan on making it a poly relationship and not just threesomes? because that seems to be a lot of the third person's problem. They're like, the couple is great, they got their thing going, we have awesome sex, but one partner isn't clicking. And in this situation, it sounds like you would be the partner that's like not clicking. Like, now I'm gonna make me some coffee. I'll talk to y'all later.
Yeah. I mean, but that's because even between the two of us, I kind of take more of an administrative, head of household type mentality. So I mean, I will communicate and interact, but even she stressed the importance of her having that addition to our relationship more so than myself, you know. So I'm just like, if it makes her happy, I'm cool, you know what I mean? Not to say like I wouldn't have to click with that person. Obviously I would, but you know, once that is established, then I'm like, we got work to do now, you know. Whereas she is like more so of the building.
So she's more bonding and holding and stuff, and you're like, so I'm gonna go to work and I'll come back and fix what's in the yard and we're gonna fuck and I'm gonna go to bed.
not that dry. I'm gonna definitely give a good time, you know what I'm saying?
I'm not saying it wasn't enjoyable,
but straight to the point kind of thing, like effectiveness, like
I often act out of necessity, you know what I'm saying?
So,
even if that means having fun and letting loose, you know what I'm saying?
So you're like, okay, so y'all two are good, y'all got y'all bonding, energy, stuff going on, cool, I'm going to fix some shit.
Yes, literally that.
So
like, you carried that broken washing machine in here?
Like, don't worry about it, keep y'all thing going, don't worry about it.
Seriously.
And that's why, like, she brings up the sex aspect a lot, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, that shit is important, but what's also important is knowing that sex is not what's holding the shit together, you know what I mean? So
that's where it's like, sex is that weird kind of
Velcro
glue, like,
it's sensitive,
cause it does and it doesn't.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be what holds the relationship together, but at the same time, if it ain't right, everything's gonna fall apart.
Okay,
so,
I'll put it this way. If the sex is not falling apart, at least we ain't out here struggling and shit. That's what I mean. If we call it quits, like.
right. So if something were to happen, y'all can't have sex for whatever reason. Somebody get injured or something.
Exactly.
Okay?
That's when it's
so
like,
y'all
it's
can't
not
have
everything.
sex. So,
but if you're
y'all
not
make sure
injured,
everything else is solid enough that if you can't have sex for a few months or something,
that shit can sustain.
that y'all will still love each other. Y'all won't be at each other's necks or ready to be with somebody else or whatever, because everything else is so solid.
But with the poly relationships and poly sex in any form, 3 partners, 4 partners, whatever, I feel like if you lack an emotional connection, eventually that's where stuff falls apart. Especially if it's a 3 or more and 2 people have a connection and someone else isn't. Or like eventually the 2 people that have a connection are gonna pull away. Purposely or not.
I think like we talking from a perspective of if that shit don't work out. My whole thing is if it works out, like my demeanor towards like the whole thing would change drastically. You know what I mean? Like, she's not emotionally starving in our relationship. You know what I mean? Yeah, as much as like stout and devoted as I sound right now, she's not emotionally starving in the relationship. You know what I mean?
I'm not like emotionally. Like,
I know what you mean.
We deal with our emotions. I talk about my emotions.
So it's like, you know, if we rocking and that shit solid, like, it's gonna be love. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be very much there. You know what I'm saying? It's just not gonna be like, I'm not gonna be trying to make it work. You know what I'm saying? For the sake of polygamy or something like that. You know?
But aren't you in any relationship? Aren't you putting in the effort to make it work?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, guys, I appreciate your poly talk. So I want to hear what happens after you guys actually like have.
Yeah, we'll have to do an update. There is somebody that I'll say I for certain have in mind, and she has us in mind.
Yeah.
But they have to get to know each other. She's someone that I've known for a while.
Okay.
And we're really close. We have a really strong bond.
So open up, be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to, you know, she alright.
He's like, that thing.
Touch toes. Touch toes.
That thing. No, I'm just playing. But
say if it's hitting right, you might want to open up a lot more.
No, she's really dope. Like
Exactly. Like if that WAP is right, I'm just cuddle and do some pillow talk. Yeah, exactly.
Well, but the thing is, we've kind of tried to, even though we're open to casual sex, we've kind of tried to be like, well, if we are interested in someone, we want to get to know them before we bring the sex in. You know, we want to make sure that we want the same things before we have sex. However, if we're gonna do like group sex or a threesome or something like that casually, then I feel like it probably wouldn't be with somebody that we're trying to go, you know.
Court.
Yeah. If it's for the smash, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
But if it's for the smash and they extra fun.
That's more smash later.
Just see if you a smash buddy, even in the poly life, you still a smash buddy. Like.
I'm sorry, you messed it up when you didn't try to get to know me before you tried to smash.
So you can get the poems, but you can't get my heart. Okay. So as you can see, everybody's poly relationship is different. Thank you so much for talking to me, guys.
Of course.